Hey, everybody.
That's how you do it.
Oh, welcome.
When's the last time you opened a podcast, Margaret?
This is my first time. First timer here.
Great.
First time caller. Welcome to the Sales Unscripted podcast, guys. This is our very first episode. We're super excited. I'm super excited. I guess I'm speaking for you.
No, you're allowed to speak for me.
Okay, good.
Something tells me that might happen fairly frequently on this podcast, but that's good.
Yeah, and I'm going to see if I can get this right. It's real talk, real people, real selling.
Real talk, real people, real selling. I think we got it right.
Tag. I think so.
We're fact checking our own logo to make sure, since it's the first episode, we're saying that in order. But I think you got it. So Well done. Well done.
Fantastic. So I'm Margaret Henney, and this is my very first ever podcast, doing it with the pro over here.
The pro. Yeah. No pressure. And I'm Bryan Neale, and I have been doing podcasts for about 15 years, which is really weird. Because the podcasting, it was really weird that we've been doing it that long. But I'm super pumped to be doing a podcast with Margaret.
Same.
You're wonderful. You'll get to know. This is a get to know us episode, but I'm really excited because there's the get to know us part, and what you'll find is we're like really, really different and really, really the same. That's so cool. And when you find people that have like lots of differences that can get along and respect each other and have different opinions and also kind of have a similar vibe. That's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually found that out when we did a webinar together, and it was just sort of like weird magic. We're like, wow, that worked out really well. That was good.
And I would say we also owe it to the people that were on that webinar.
Yes.
And we did not, this is really weird, wasn't it? People are like, you two need to do a podcast. You two need to do a podcast. Like, okay.
We're giving the people what they want.
We are. That's what we do. Serving the people.
I guess like a little bit of background. So I was in sales for a little over 10 years. Took a really kind of strange route to get there. I started out as a theater major in college at Butler University. Shout out Bulldogs. Yeah. Love my Bulldogs. Yes. And took kind of a funny route to get there. But I found that I just had whatever it was it takes, which I think is natural curiosity. And I never planned to be in sales. I thought it sounded scary and a little bit like grimy almost. I was like, ooh, salespeople, barf. And then I became one of them.
Barf. Why did you become a theater major?
I loved the stage. I love to perform. I love to be like kind of, I don't know, off the cuff. It feels like that kind of same magic.
Yeah.
Especially live theater. Live is totally my favorite, right? Because like there's something between not only the actors, but like the audience where it's different every single time. And you're like, ooh, we just experienced something together that is totally irreplaceable, will never be the same. And I guess podcasting might be a little bit like that too.
I think it's going to be. Yeah. I think selling is too. I mean, you think about that. Like you practice, rehearse. I'll use some theater terms. Yep. You know your marks.
Totally.
Your marks,
hit your marks.
Right? And then there's, what do they call it? Pacing or something like that. There's like a rhythm to acting that it's like, got to speed it up, slow it down. And I think sales is the same way, but each experience is unique on its own, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really cool.
And you have to be super open to whoever you're participating with, whoever your other actors are. Totally the same way with sales, right? Where you're not just monologuing. You're not, I'm going to use a lot of theater terms. You're not the only person on stage where you're just monologuing, right? You're like, there's a dialogue going on. You got to feel them out and be open to whatever they're doing.
Love it. So, what do you about outside of work? What's your life like? Tell the people.
Okay, so tell the people.
As much as you feel comfortable. When you say tell the people your public domain, okay, not all the details.
Okay, we'll get into that in like episode 12 or something. Like after we get more comfortable. So we were talking about this right before we got on, actually. And travel. Travel is like my number one thing that just like feels very me when I'm doing it. So I actually took a year off a couple years ago and traveled for 12 months. Yeah, a whole year, a little under for by myself all over the world. And I loved it. So.
I've heard there's no greater way or process to find your true self than to travel into a foreign country by yourself where you don't necessarily know the language or the culture.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, you have to be very comfortable with looking like an idiot because like, you're like,
I'm good
trying to speak there. I know, right? I'm like, oh, that's right up my alley. So, in order to have a great time, you've got to be open to being like, okay, I'm going to fumble through this and be kind of stupid, but like, let me just figure it out.
Yes.
And people everywhere love it. People everywhere are so proud of where they're from and they're so excited for you to be there and are just like incredibly welcoming. And it's just, I don't know, it's a really incredible experience.
You got stories. Maybe you should start another podcast about that.
Yeah. We'll see how this one goes.
My 12
first.
months or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's great. Well, that's awesome.
What about you? Tell the people.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in sales my whole career, which is a long one, longer than Margaret's been on the planet, I think, close to it. I've been in sales since my first sales gig was in 1990.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't have quite have me. 84.
That's close.
I'm an
Okay.
80s
7 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time, and I went to I grew up in a small town in Southern Indiana, and I went to a business school at Indiana University, which is a pretty good business school. And this is way before we had no computers. We had no cell phones or anything like that. Sound like a dad or grandpa, don't I?
No.
Yeah. I was too dumb to major in the business school. Is really hard to get into. I squeaked into the business school. I was just telling my kids about this. I literally squeaked in. Like I was shocked I got in. And then once you get in, the majors are like finance, accounting, operations, manage, MS, all the marketing was my only thing. Right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's the word of the day. We'll do like Pee-wee.
Yeah.
Remember Pee-wee?
Well, yeah,
back
totally.
in the day, word of the day. And so the selling was like all I could do. I was a student activities geek. So I always tell people people say like things you're proud of in your past other than your kids and stuff like that. My proudest thing is I co-founded the IU Dance Marathon, which if you're listening to this, you're not from Indiana. Like, what is that? It's a big deal. Second largest student-led fundraiser in the country. It's amazing. To its date, since we started the first one in 1991, has raised somewhere to the tune of $30+ million for Riley Children's Hospital here in Indianapolis. And it's really cool. You should be super proud of that. Really That's neat. It's really one. Cool. The founders of the Dance Marathon still to this day have an active text trail that goes all day, every day, 7 days a week. I just got a text from one of the group. It's all day, every day. So it's kind of fun. We're all in our 50s now and have kids and moving on to that next stage of life, but it's really neat. So that was it. I'm married. I've got a blended family, Brady Bunch family. I've got 4 kids. My wife has 1. And they're right now, as of this taping today in 2022, I've got a sophomore in college, 3 in high school, senior, sophomore, freshman, and I've got a stepson who's in 5th grade. My wife is our company's CEO. Yeah, she's which a badass. Is just awesome. Because I was in this business sales coaching. I've been a salesperson, sales coach forever. And I had a nice little business and it was flat, it was just good enough. It was flat. And then we put Stephanie in charge, and in her first 18 months, she doubled the company, which is really great and continues to. So it's really great. And it's just so nice great lesson for me I hated being the CEO. And I wasn't good at it. And I think that our listeners are going to tune into our vibe about we're very much people that like, you got to do what you love to do and what you're good at. And I mean, you even had a career switch, didn't you? I did. Yeah. Well, now I'm in marketing. Right. So I'm the director of marketing at Co-Video. It's a software company based here in Indianapolis. Yeah. And I started in sales there. And I loved that I was in sales first. So by the time I went to marketing, even though I hadn't had a whole bunch of experience in that, I knew what salespeople needed from me. Yes. And kind of like what the language was, how I could help them. And because those two, they have to party together. Like if you're not working together, sales and marketing, like something is definitely amiss. So I've never heard anyone say sales and marketing to party together. I'm not sure that's a great idea, especially when we're out of town. If you go to, you go to these out of town meetings for some big sales and all the marketing people there, that I've seen some bad things come from partying, but I love what you're saying. I mean, realistic, like metaphorically. I got you. I love the metaphor. Got a party. And figuratively, it's the thing. I love that. And this going to be part of the theme of this podcast, Sales Unscripted, is going to include a lot of the kind of what sometimes is angst between marketing and selling and how they can work together and party together, which I love. Yeah. That's one of our core values here at my company. It's called Blind Zebra. By the way, I should probably mention that. The reason it's called Blind Zebra, I have a second job. I'm also a football referee, American football for our international listeners. And I'm now a referee in the NFL, National Football League. So some people have probably listened to this or have bitched at me and not known it. I tell people now that you listen, you can bitch by name. You don't have to do it generically anymore, right? That guy sucks. Put that flag back in there, Bryan. So I don't know. I'm more of a basketball than football, so I apologize if I say most Indiana. That's sense. Okay. That Stephanie is too. My wife is too. Yeah, she was. It was fun watching a basketball game with her the other night. I went to Indiana University. She went to Purdue. So those are rival schools for those who don't know. Good rivalry. And Steph doesn't really watch much sports, but she was watching the basketball and she started saying basketball things. Like we've got to pull the ball out. I love that. I'm like, hey, look at you. Some hoops. Yeah. Somebody's like underneath the basket, and you're like, don't put that ball on the ground. Go straight up. Right. Why the dribble? Why did they dribble? Strong. No one outside of Indiana does this. We're just raised this way. Isn't it weird? Even to Butler's that way. Totally in our DNA. So it's funny because you'll hear old women say, you'll be like at and they'll call it to one of the things I love about basketball fans in Indiana too. Basketball fans all over, normally you're of course cheering for your own team. Yeah. You always want the call to go your way. Always. Indiana fans would be like, no, he carried the ball. Totally. They know it, don't they? Turned it over. Stupid. Don't do that. Funny. Yeah. So what is our aim for this podcast? What do we want to tell people why they should listen. If we're going to do that.
Exactly. Well, so we're going to have a lot of conversations here. Some of it is going to be about us getting really curious and trying to come up with the answers together.
Yes.
Some of it, we'll know just through our own experience that we've had.
Yes.
But kind of that natural curiosity that I was talking about, having to do with anything sales, right? From, prospecting to closing, and then talk about the skills that go along with that. Like you talk about an intent a lot. And that's something that, some of Bryan's and BZ's language is going to come up a lot here, which I love.
Yes.
So, I mean, really it's for anyone who's just starting out in their sales career or anyone who just wants that extra motivation kind of gut check. Because I think we all could use new motivation from time to time, right?
Always.
Because as we know in sales, it's this, you can't see me, but I'm doing the wave with my hand. No matter when you're super high, you're like, you just know the dip is going to come.
It does.
And the vice versa, right? So when you're at the bottom, you're like, it's going to come up again. So, we're here to kind of ride that wave with you, I guess.
That's great. Yeah. That same with me. I want everyone to hear, I love the idea that we'll have different, because of your experience in both selling and marketing now.
Yep.
You have that. I don't have that marketing angle. So you have the sales angle and the marketing. I only have the sales. And I just like to party with the marketing people, not like literally, not even figuratively. So, but there's so much to be explored there and unpacked. And we want this to be, we call it Sales Unscripted on purpose, because we just don't have any sort of agenda around something we're trying to get across. We're just going to talk raw. And sometimes it's going to be, la-di-da. And sometimes we're going to be like, I'm not sure, Margaret. And you're going, I'm not sure, Neil. I'm not sure. That's how I'd think about that. And we just have different life experiences and a lot of cool stuff. I think it's going to be really, really cool. We're going to engage our audience and ask you to participate. We're going to interview people every once in a while. It's going to be just a lot of fun stuff. So, so I heard this question. So this is one of those cheeky, like, what do you call them? Icebreaker questions. But someone asked this. I hadn't heard this in a while. I'm going to modify it a little bit.
Okay.
And then you're going to ask me something. You can ask me the same question or something different.
Got it.
So you can choose your car, your desk, or your backpack. Can you tell us 3 things that we would find in your car, your desk, or your backpack that would allow us to get to know who Margaret is? Car, desk, or backpack? How about that? It's a good question.
That's
wasn't
a really good question.
Someone asked that in a meeting I was in. I'm like, that's a good icebreaking question. I know sometimes those are cheesy, but
okay. I don't know what this actually says about me. I'm not thinking very, but my brother got for my entire family one time for us to keep in all of our cars, this thing that you can cut your seatbelt with and smash the window with in an emergency. And I was like, Merry Christmas. Like really thoughtful, because he was like, if anything ever happened that you needed to get out. And I was like, that's so dark, but I love that I have it.
That's so
it
great.
Makes me feel great. And I have a lot of like fantasies and daydreams about saving someone with it. So like, if you ever get in a car accident around me, I got you. I will pull you out of a retention pond. Like, that's my thing. What about you?
Wonder if that's an Indiana thing too. Why does it always seem that cars in Indiana go into retention ponds? And doesn't someone think to put a fence up around the retention pond? But that happens.
Yeah.
But that's funny. And it's not funny because people die in those things.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I'm not a compliant human. I'm the opposite. I'm very rogue, counter, whatever.
Unscripted,
little
if you
bit.
will.
Yes. Thank you.
But
but I'm a crazy person for safety things. Crazy.
Okay.
If I see a kid walking around a house and the corners aren't covered, I'm like watching the kid. Seatbelt, like stuff like that, I'm nuts about. If I see things that might fall.
Yeah.
So same.
You have it too.
Me dad. So I've got 3 of my 4 kids drive.
Yeah.
For Christmas stocking stuffer. They all got emergency packs for their car.
I love it.
That have everything, the flares and the just in case.
That's
you don't know. Isn't that great?
Wait, same question to you then, because I really like that.
Yeah, sure. My car is relatively clean right now.
Mine
it's
is
not clean. It's not clean. There's just not much clutter. So I'm going to go office, actually right here where we're sitting. And I'm going to go to a book over my shoulder here.
I got to look through. Okay.
Called Prince, the Beautiful Ones. Prince, the Beautiful Ones. And and it's wheelhouse and I grew up with it. But I'm a music guy. I play piano. My piano's right here too. I thought about that one, but I'm not much of a fandom person. Like if I see someone, I'm like melt or anything. I was listening to the XM radio the day Prince died, and they came on, and I was with my kids, and I started crying.
Yeah,
and I cry a lot, but not like for that. And people, I'm like, oh, that sucks, like whatever, like. Betty White just died, which I love her. Everyone loves Betty White. But when Prince died, I'm like,
yeah,
it's like, wow. And so I'm a psycho Prince fan. The Beautiful Ones is a book. It's got like handwriting stuff in there from him. And
that's
his whole life story. It's really, really cool. I wear my Prince hat around when he was the symbol.
Yeah. Oh,
and
totally.
Most people don't know that.
Formerly known
so
as,
impressed when people go, nice hat, man. I'm like, thank you. And they know, but most people are like, what's your hat, man? What is that? Never heard that.
Yeah.
I think it's some new brand. So I'm a psycho crazy Prince fan. And actually saw Prince in concert in 1997 or 8. Even better. I'm sorry. I just can't help myself. He was supposed to be going to this bar here in Indianapolis after the show.
Okay.
And it was a Sunday night. It was not there anymore. It's called Cocktail Cove. And it was in the strip mall by Allisonville and 82nd Street, where the coat factory is now.
Okay.
It used to be a strip mall. Sunday night. I'm single with my roommate. And I'm like, dude, it's Sunday. Like, let's just go. Just in case. We go to this place. You think it's a scam, right? We get thrown way in the back corner because we're like, they're late. I'm like, well, even if he comes in, we're not going to see him, whatever.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's this big ruckus. I turn around. He is sitting from not me to you, but probably 6 feet. He came in the back door.
Stop.
And they shuffled him into this little booth by this dance floor. And I turn, he's literally right there. I was like freaked out, like screaming, like person. It's crazy.
He's real small, right?
Bitty,
like
itty bitty, 5'2", maybe. And very awkward. He had like a bottle of water and he kept like looking to the side. Like everyone's screaming. It was really weird.
Yeah. That
Hear him. It's like, I almost felt bad at that. I'm like, it was like
but he was an artist.
He is, but he is me. I mean, if you listen to him and how he says he was music. And if you listen to people that played with him and just how he did everything, that's all he did.
Yeah.
He rehearsed all day. He'd go play a show. Then they go find a bar or something to go play a show at.
Yeah.
They get on the bus. He'd sleep, get up, do it again. That's a lot about Prince, but that's a little about me.
I love it. Now I'm also feeling very regretful that I picked this thing to smash my window with in an accident. You actually said something about yourself. Like
you did say something about yourself. No, it wasn't. You care about others' well-being. You dream about saving people.
I do. I actually have that fantasy a lot.
I have a little cheeky phrase. I say that windows are words into the soul. Those are words into your soul.
Okay. All right.
That you care about others and you want to rescue people.
I would love to.
So if you never find yourself in the bottom of a ditch or retention pond, you may never get to meet Margaret. But if you do and she's around, you're safe.
There.
That's good.
I'm there for it.
Okay. We look forward to being with you once a week here on Sales Unscripted. And we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff. We're going to be talking about topics mostly. This was just like get to know you. Who are these people? And then from now on, we're going to be talking about stuff, like real stuff. Yeah. We're going to get raw and real in Sales Unscripted. So
can't wait.
Anything to say?
No.
Good. All right. Good. See you next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.